It's in Ezra chapter 6 that we finally see the completion of the temple in Jerusalem. The people of Judah had persevered through a tremendous amount of persecution and work stoppage, discouragement, and even some of their own people throwing in the towel on the project as a whole. Nevertheless, Ezra chapter 6 verse 14 says, "And the elders of the Jews were successful in building through the prophesying of Haggai the prophet and Zechariah the son of Iddo. And they finished building according to the command of God to Israel and the decree of Cyrus, Darius, and Artaxerxes, king of Persia." You know, when I read that verse, I am reminded of the sovereignty of God. To say that God is sovereign, of course, is just another way to say that he has supreme power and authority. In the completion of the temple, God was not bound by time. When he commissioned this work to be started, there was set into motion a chain of events that could not and would not be stopped. In the completion of the temple, God was not bound by any political rule. It didn't matter who was sitting on the earthly throne. This project transcended several earthly kings, and yet it was still brought to completion. In the completion of the temple, God brought together priests and scribes, laborers, and prophets. He brought together a diverse people with a variety of skill sets, each with one goal in mind: the completion of the temple for the glory of God. God, in his sovereign wisdom, knew the exact ingredients required to bring this project to fruition, and he arranged for those exact ingredients in their exact and specific quantities to be dispensed at the exact moment they were required. Can I just take a minute today to encourage you and remind you that God is not bound by our timetable. I know that we all have goals and plans, and we've been perhaps praying for some specific situation for maybe months or maybe even years now, and it feels as though God has not been answering and perhaps not even hearing our prayers. You know, I'm reminded as I read that verse about the completion of the temple, I'm reminded that I do not serve a forgetful God. What God starts, he finishes. He sees you and I in the same way that he sees that temple, an unfinished project that will be brought to completion. A project that has faced all manner of persecution, work stoppage, discouragement, and perhaps even moments where you yourself have thrown in the towel. He sees you, and in his sovereignty, in his perfect timing, he is bringing around you the exact ingredients required to bring you to completion. Be encouraged and keep moving forward.